Hello there, very good evening and a warm welcome to the news live on Rupavahini ChannelEye. I'm Shram Mascarenhas.
Good evening, I am Lakshit Singha, and to start off we take a quick look at the top stories for tonight. The President tells a European Union delegation that solutions would be found through a democratic methodology. A meeting between the Indian Foreign Secretary and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Minister Uday Gammampilla says that he is trying to bring to Sri Lanka's ownership the Trincomalee oil tanks handed over to India under the Indo-Lanka Agreement. Foreign specialist commends Sri Lanka's program to create a healthy and sustainable food system. The Director General of Health Services says the decision to fully reopen the country will be based on the conduct of the general public. Fumio Kishida has been appointed as Japan's new Prime Minister. On to those and other stories in detail, starting off with the top story for tonight. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that solutions will be provided to the existing problems through the democratic process itself. He further points out that Sri Lanka had always been one of the most ancient democratic countries and it had never acted as a dictatorship in any period of the country's history. The President made these remarks addressing a group of European Union representatives at his private residence in Mirihana Nugegoda today. The aim of the visit of the EU delegation has been to evaluate the agreements reached with Sri Lanka by the European Union under the GSP Plus system, as well as to study the views of Sri Lanka regarding the European Parliament. The EU representatives, focusing attention on the Prevention of Terrorism Act, has stressed the need for a timely solution. They also have stated that their tour will enable them to present a systematic report to the European Commission and the European Parliament. The group has also pledged their assistance to Sri Lanka. The President has said that speedy measures will be taken to amend the clauses in the PTA that will have to be changed. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa also clarified on the impediments confronted in realizing the government plans and the harmful impact to the economy due to the COVID pandemic. He has also elaborated on the measures taken for the development and establishing democracy in the northern and eastern provinces, and also to provide relief to the families of missing persons. He also told the European delegation that he has pointed out the need for all Tamil political parties, Tamil diaspora and overseas groups to act in unity at the United Nations General Assembly session. The cooperation of civil organizations in the country will be utilized for reconciliation and progress. He further said that instructions have been given not to act against those engaged in protests, but pointed out that it is extremely regrettable to find certain groups trying to create dissent, highlighting on minor incidents as well as by propagating false opinions. The European Union delegation has thanked the President for his lengthy explanations. Ambassador of the European Union delegation in Colombo, Dennis Shaib, and Foreign Secretary Admiral Jainath Kolumbuke also took part in the event.
Indian Foreign Secretary Shri Harshvardhan Shringla, who has arrived in the island on a 4-day official tour, has met Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today. At the meeting held at Temple Trees, the attention has been focused on further consolidating bilateral relations as well as on the progress of several ongoing fields, including tourism industry. The Indian Foreign Secretary has presented the best wishes of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Foreign Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar to the Prime Minister on this occasion. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has appreciated the prominent role played by the Indian Prime Minister for the promotion of Buddhist relations. Foreign Secretary Shringla has responded saying that strengthening of relations was a priority of the Indian Prime Minister. He has also recalled how Prime Minister Modi had contributed $15 million to Sri Lanka for this purpose. The Indian Foreign Secretary also said that it is most likely that a pilgrim's aircraft from Sri Lanka would touch down first at the Kushinagar airport in India after it being upgraded into an international airport. Prime Minister Modi has made a request in this connection during an online bilateral conference between the two countries last year. Attention has also been focused on the restoration of the tourist industry. Mr. Shringla has also expressed satisfaction on the efficient vaccination programs being conducted in both countries, which would pave the way for normalization of relations. Visiting in the general public, the housing project built with the Indian government financial assistance over video technology has taken place at Temple Trees today. Indian Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla and Minister Professor Gio Pires have presided over the event. Ministers Dinesh Gunawardena, Nimal Siripala de Silva, Kelly Rambukwala and several state ministers were also present. More than 10,000 houses have been constructed in the districts of Norelia, Kandy, Matale, Padulla and Galle.
A short while back, I had a very productive meeting with His Excellency, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, who we know as an ardent friend of India's, a steady source of support for the deepening of the India-Sri Lanka relationship. I look forward to calling on His Excellency, Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, President of Sri Lanka, whose steadfast commitment to the India-Sri Lanka bilateral relationship is well known. I am happy to see the progress in our bilateral engagement across different spheres. The high-level visits, in particular, the state visits of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa to India in November 2019 and February 2020 respectively, have given fresh impetus to our relationship. The virtual bilateral summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa in September 2020, what we call the Mitatva Magva, was an important milestone as it set the template for the future evolution of our cooperation in fields such as defense and security, health, tourism, trade and commerce and people-to-people ties. In the past 1 year, India has buttressed its credentials as a net security provider, a first responder in humanitarian assistance and disaster relief situations in the wider Indian Ocean region. India was happy to respond to Sri Lanka's requests in recent cases of fire and marine pollution in its waters. The Indian Navy also deployed its assets for rapid delivery of medical-grade oxygen to Sri Lanka in August to deal with the COVID situation. That in the immediate aftermath of 2009, India had commenced its housing project in Sri Lanka. Over time, this project has become an integral part of our development cooperation partnership. I would like to highlight that these projects employ local companies and invariably use Sri Lankan material and labor in their execution. I hope in the coming months, the two sides will be able to complete some of the remaining projects like the Dambula cold storage plant, trilingual school at Polo Naruva, and the School of Kandyan Dancing at Palikale, whose project had been impeded by the restrictions imposed by COVID-19 and the attendant administrative challenges. The Government of India will also support the development of facilities for tourists and pilgrims at sites associated with the Ramayan circuit in Sri Lanka. Tourism is an important part of our people-to-people cooperation, and we would be happy to work with the Sri Lankan government on taking forward that connect as the situation eases in COVID. Let me state that on this occasion, on our part, we will leave no stone unturned in mitigating the adverse impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and restrictions on our socio-economic engagement. We will stand with the government of Sri Lanka in its efforts for post-COVID recovery. India and Sri Lanka have seen major disruptions to their economies by the devastating COVID pandemic. As we seek rapid socio-economic recovery for our respective countries, it is important to work together to strengthen our economic partnership and to deepen our time-tested bilateral ties founded on the principles of mutual benefit, mutual understanding, and a common purpose defined by good neighborly relations.
The all too brief visit to our shores by the Foreign Secretary of India demonstrates very clearly the multifaceted character of our relationship at this time. But if you ask me to indicate my own view as to the principal component of this relationship, I would answer without hesitation that it consists of connectivity, people-to-people connectivity between Sri Lanka and India. Sri Harshvardhan Shringla, in his remarks to us just now, spoke of people-centric programs. The Foreign Secretary referred to the inaugural flight to Kushinagar, the international Buddhist airport of India. This is a visit that will take place on the 20th of October. We consider that to be a landmark event. No fewer than 100 Buddhist monks will be joining that flight to Kushinagar. On the personal initiative of Sri Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, a special fund has been established of approximately $15 million for the purpose of supporting Buddhist temples, monasteries, kovils, and so on. And the Indian High Commissioner told me that he has received instructions from his Prime Minister to ensure that a minimum of $3 million is spent each year on these projects. Today we are inaugurating a series of housing programs. The Grama Shakti program consists of 100 model villages and 1,800 new houses which are being presented to the people of our country by the Government of India at a cost of approximately 900 million rupees. The Manik Farm project is also very significant. For each of Sri Lanka's districts, 25 houses are being built, and the total cost of this project is about $400 million. There are other projects as well. A chair is being created in the University of Sabaragamuwa. The Government of India is supporting the maintenance of the Jaffna Cultural Center for 5 years. So these are all projects that will be inaugurated in due course, bringing even closer together the people of our two countries. This is a relationship which indicates very clearly that our countries are bound together by history, geography, culture, and I have no doubt at all that in the months and years to come, this relationship will go from strength to strength. So that is the firm resolve of the government of Sri Lanka. We are resolutely committed to the strengthening, the deepening of this relationship. We thank the Government of India for all the assistance that they have given us in difficult times, including the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Indian delegation, headed by the Indian Foreign Secretary, has also met Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa at the Finance Ministry today. In-depth discussions have also been conducted on ways of strengthening bilateral relations and on the need to face the global situation. Minister Rajapaksa has also commended the assistance being provided by India as a regional power and neighbouring state to control the pandemic. The Foreign Secretary added that his country is ready to extend the necessary support to the local economic sector affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Deputy Foreign Secretary of India, Nidhi Chowdhury, and Indian High Commissioner in Sri Lanka, Gopal Bangla, as well as the Finance Ministry Secretary S.R. Artikala have also attended the meeting.
Minister of Energy Udaya Gammampila says that the statement made by trade unions in the petroleum sector regarding preparations to hand over the oil tank complex in Trincomalee to India is totally fabricated. Addressing a media briefing today, Minister has further stated that he is engaged in efforts to transfer the ownership of oil tanks back to Sri Lanka, which were handed over to India under the Indo-Sri Lanka Agreement. Minister Udaya Gammampila said that all 100 oil tanks in Trincomalee had been handed over to India under the Indo-Sri Lanka Agreement signed in 1987 and 2003. He added that he had been trying throughout the year to bring back the ownership of the tanks to Sri Lanka. Venerable Omalpe Sobita Nayaka Thero has told media of preparations to hand over 85 oil tanks to India. The previous United National Party government, of which leaders now belong to the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, had given all the tank resources to India. The agitators has also commented on a fuel shortage. A bill to abolish the dictatorship rule of the Petroleum Corporation was presented to Parliament this week. The UMPers who were silent when handing over the tanks to India are now making noises when attempts are underway to bring back these properties.
Specialist in the Indian Foods and Agricultural Technology, Devinder Sharma, has praised the decision taken by Sri Lanka for the establishment of a healthy and sustainable food network in the country. He has expressed his opinion to the Tribune newspaper on India. Devinder Sharma has pointed out that Sri Lanka has embarked on a system of healthy, sustainable and equitable food policy even before the United Nations Food Programme has identified the need of such a programme. He adds that the banning of application of chemical fertilizers and pesticides as well as the importation of palm oil are striking features to encourage organic farming and agro-industries. The Indian intellectual also says that the Sri Lankan president is successfully confronting numerous economic challenges. He further says that an unflinching attitude of the president to go ahead with the program of manufacturing organic fertilizer amidst the attempts of certain groups to create an artificial food shortage is most commendable.
Head of the National Operational Centre for the Prevention of the COVID-19 outbreak, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva told the media in Khattaragama that the President is scheduled to give, or rather provide instructions during this week on the program to inoculate children between the ages of 15 and 19 years. Head of the National Operational Centre for the Prevention of the COVID-19 outbreak, Army Commander General Shavindra Silva said that presently inoculations are being made on children between the ages of 12 and 19 years. He added that the President has advised to commence vaccination of those between the ages of 15 and 19 as well. A vaccination program on children receiving treatment at the Apeksha Hospital in Maharagama has commenced today. Children undergoing anti-cancer medicines or radiotherapy treatment and those who have completed 5 years of treatment are being inoculated. A total of 26,441,235 vaccine doses have been inoculated under the COVID-19 immunization program thus far. A total of 14,580,206 persons have received the first dose of the vaccine, while 11,861,029 have received both doses thus far. Another stock of 304,200 US-made Pfizer vaccines were brought to the island at dawn today. They were later on transferred to the cold rooms at the National Blood Transfusion Centre in Narahenpita. Services at the Departments of Immigration and Emigration and the Registration of Persons have commenced today. Our correspondent says large groups have arrived to obtain services from these institutions. A total of 572 COVID-19 patients were identified from the country today. Accordingly, the number of active cases in the country increased up to 30,528. The epidemiology unit says that 18,076 corona-infected patients who have been undergoing quarantine in residences since the 23rd of last month have been cured. Accordingly, the total number of fully recovered patients is 477,374. The Director General of Health Services has reported today 43 COVID-19 related deaths which occurred yesterday. 31 out of them were those above the age of 60 years. The number of victims between the ages of 30 and 59 years is 12. The Health Ministry says that home-based corona patients have been accorded the opportunity to directly connect with the call service number 1390. Earlier, this service was available only for corona-infected persons who have been registered in the program. The National Blood Transfusion Centre requests the general public to donate blood at the nearest hospital or at the National Blood Transfusion Centre. The 25th program of the Be Happy with Youth, organized by the National Youth Services Council, was held at the Sairupura apartment housing complex in Angulana, Moratuwa yesterday. A group including Chairman and Director General of the NYSC, Damitha Wickramasinghe, was also present on the occasion.
Deputy Director General of Health Services Dr. Hemant Herath urged the youth between the ages of 20 and 29 to receive the vaccines for COVID-19 without any hesitancy. He made these remarks while speaking at a media briefing today.
Young people who are between 20 and 30 is being offered the vaccine during these days, and those who are coming to receive this vaccine is yet to pick up. We know that over 50% has been vaccinated, but still there are a large number of people who have some kind of hesitancy to get this vaccine. By getting this vaccine, not only you are protected from any possible complications and probable deaths due to COVID. We cannot say that you are not going to spread the disease, but the likelihood of spreading and the amount of virus that will be released from your body will be reduced, and therefore likelihood of spreading the disease also somewhat reduced. So therefore we would like to urge those who are between the 20 and 30 to get your vaccinations as early as possible from your nearest place. And also I would like to emphasize the fact that about this vaccination card. Vaccination card is issued by the Health Ministry as a proof of vaccination. Therefore, it should be kept in a secure place and it should be produced if somebody or if an authority is asking for any proof of vaccination. We have seen that certain problems or situations has arisen in the past where vaccination card has been requested by different organizations, and we need to emphasize from the Health Ministry side is that any organization who is requesting production of the vaccination card at your institution, you need to educate and inform and communicate the public or the relevant staff so that They will be carrying the vaccination card as and when required, and Health Ministry will not declare any general rules at this moment to say that this card need to be carried with to a specific place, whether it is a public place or not.
Director General of Health Services Dr. Asela Gunawardena urged the public to be more self-disciplined and adhere to health guidelines properly to avoid a further spread of COVID-19 outbreak. Following the easing of the restrictions, that is, he made these remarks in a media briefing today.
After reopening the country after 43 days of quarantine curfew, we have observed that some of the citizens really not adherent to the health guidelines which we have imposed. So it is a very sad situation because we open up the country with a lot of difficulties, because even though right now we are experiencing about nearly 800 to 1,000 positive cases as well as 50 to 40 deaths per day. So in this context that we have opened up the country, giving the assurance that people should adhere to the health guidelines which we were enforced. So my sincere request is to adhere to the health guidelines, simply the wearing mask. The past few days I have personally observed that some of the people are not even wearing the mask, and it is sometimes they are wearing but it is below the nose. It is no point wearing a mask like that. It is not a good sign, because still there are positive cases inside the country, and this will definitely, if you behave like that, this will definitely lead to another outbreak. So it is my sincere request again to all the people of this country, because they have tremendously supported us during 43 days of quarantine. So we should adhere to the health guidelines, otherwise we will be not able to open up the country after 15, because still there are lot to be open for the normal functions. So all depends on how we behave. So our self-discipline is the most important thing. So if we behave very disciplined manner, not to get the disease from someone else and not to give the disease to anyone else. So that should be our motto, and I earnestly request to all the people in this country to behave with all the health guidelines which we imposed with the COVID-19 outbreak.
The Parliament has met today to inquire into 40 anticipated oral questions which the parliamentarians were unable to raise during the past few days due to numerous reasons, including the COVID pandemic. Some MPs have raised questions on several present-day problems. Parliamentarian Chaminda Vijayasiri has queried on the outcome if the US took into their hands the authority to fix the price of electricity. Minister Gamini Lakuge said that they have issued a statement to the country as a government. It was the UMP governments that have divided the petroleum industry and handed over powers to the IOC to set up 100 petrol sheds. 1/3 of the ownership of Kolonnawa terminal was also given. Those who had sold oil tanks to India are now questioning on the Kerawalapitiya plant, which Sri Lanka will regain in the year 2035 with a massive diesel plant.
Charge sheets were handed over before a 3-member High Court bench today on 24 accused, including Naufa Maulavi, over terror attacks launched on the Easter Sunday. The case is being heard before a 3-member panel of judges, Damit Thotavatta, Amal Ranaraja and Navaratna Marasinghe. Further hearings of the case have been postponed till the 23rd of next month. Out of the 25 accused, one of the infected were coronavirus. The Attorney General has filed the case regarding 8 bomb attacks targeting Catholic churches and tourist hotels on the 21st of April 2019. 23,270 charges have been filed on conspiring and aiding the Easter Sunday attacks.
In the meantime, Ruan Satkumara, an additional secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media, has been appointed as the Acting Director General of the Commission on the Right to Information. The official term of the members of the Commission has ended on the 30th of last month. With the expiry of the commission after 5 years, the new acting Director General is a special grade officer of the Administrative Service who had commenced duties in the year 2000. He has been responsible for building an island-wide network in training officials and the implementation of the legal framework to access to information. He has acted in close collaboration with the relevant groups to strengthen the internal structure of the Bill of Right to Information. The former chairman of the Commission has handed over records and books on the work carried out by the Commission to the Minister of Mass Media, Dallas Alhab Perumal.
YouTube sensation Yohani De Silva, who thrilled the world with her epic song Manike Mange Hite, successfully conducted her second Indian concert yesterday. The magnificent event took place at the Hot Cup Coffee Theatre in Gachbowli in Hyderabad. This was the first time a live performance of a single hit song which has won the hearts of Indian music fans took place in the Indian capital. Her maiden concert was performed live at the Gurugram Exobar Music Studio. Many frontline Bollywood actors and actresses as well as singers were present on the occasion. It was organized by the prominent music company Wingman Institute.
Minister Rohitabe Gunawardena says that the western terminal of the Colombo harbour has not been sold to any institution. Addressing a media briefing of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna in Colombo today, Minister Rohitabe Gunawardena further said that under an agreement, a company would have the responsibility of only the terminal. All the other services are being conducted by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. Therefore, the authority receives the profits of each of the 3.5 million containers being handled by this terminal. The investors develop these terminals. He adds that Colombo Harbour is becoming one of the best harbours in the world. Those who had leased the Hambantota harbour for 99 years are today trying to blame the present government. The minister further said that they as a government will fulfill their duties.
Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says that they are winning the challenges of enhancing the exports with the cooperation of exporters in the private sector and the government sector. Addressing a media briefing at the Ministry of Trade today, Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that the turnover from the agricultural, industrial and other exports by the end of August last year was $6.4 billion. By the end of August this year, it has recorded a 22.3% increase to $7.9 billion. The minister has expressed optimism over further consolidating Sri Lanka's export sector in this year as well.
Northern Province project to assist rural youth on setting up new enterprises, development, training and consultation has commenced recently. The project is a joint collaboration of the Minor Entrepreneur Development Division and the Youth and SME Guarantee Limited. All programs are being implemented via online. A specialty is the implementation of projects in all 3 languages covering the 25 districts. Many programs have already been conducted in the Kurunegala and Hambantota districts. The next program is scheduled to be conducted in the Anuradhapura district.
Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage says that Sri Lanka will become self-sufficient in dried chilies by the year 2024. Harvesting of chilies in Sri Lanka's first export agricultural village set up in Galabode estate in Navalapitiya is taking place these days. 100 acres of barren lands were used for the cultivation, providing employment opportunities to 200 youth. They have also been given financial aid amounting to 350,000 rupees.
That's all the stories for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at the very same time. Until then, stay safe and good night.